Well, Wave 3 of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass recently released, and I gotta say, it's easily the best wave so far. And Wave 1 was pretty cool, even if there were some graphical problems, and also some of the tracks were just okay, like Toad Circuit. Wave 2 was better, and it definitely had some really great tracks like Mushroom Gorge, plus the all-new Sky High Sunday. But Wave 3, even this blows Wave 2 out of the water. It was fantastic, these two cups. The use of anti-gravity as well as the remixes and how the tracks look. It's an even bigger improvement than Wave 2 was to Wave 1. So I'm gonna rank all 8 tracks here. And number 8 is Tour London Loop. Unlike the two previous waves, I can't say there's any course in here that just doesn't really feel compared to the rest of them. Even this track is still really good. Now, it's a tour track, so what makes it unique? Well, it's another city one, but there is some cool stuff here. There's Big Ben, there's a bunch of chumps, there's some pretty cool shortcuts you can take through the grass. The music is really cool, and I like the foggy atmosphere of it being London and all. It's overall a really cool track, and this is my least favorite here. Even still, it's great though, and I think the rock is definitely unique for the theme. Number 7 is GBA Blue Lake. Now, the original track on the GBA Mario Kart Super Circuit wasn't bad, but this is a big improvement. Here, we can now go underwater, there's fish bones, there's some cool shortcuts you can take. The music remix is absolutely fantastic, and we even get to see all those dead trees and mansion in the background, just like in the original. This is a pretty cool track, and I also like the use of anti-gravity. And it almost reminds me of Twisted Mansion in a way. Overall, it's a great track, and a great improvement from the original, which is already neat. Number 6, we have Tour Berlin Byway. Now, Berlin Byway I personally prefer over London Loop for a few reasons. First, there are a bunch of womps that when you trick off them, you go flying. It's cool that they have womps here. Next, the remix is really cool, as well as that huge tower that you glide by, as well as the huge arch you can drive under with the swamps as well. It's pretty cool that you drive backwards in there as well. I'm after the glider section. There's even some cool elephant statues and a bridge you can drive under, as well as one you can trick off of. It's a cool track and it has a lot, and I think it can compare to, say, Sydney Sprint, which I am quite fond of. At number 5, we have Tour Mary Mountain. Now, Mary Mountain was a pretty important course, because it was the first time we had an original tour course that wasn't just a city. This one is an entire snow mountain, and the remix is even better here. There's a bunch of train tracks you can drive on, the music is fantastic and really invokes the Christmas holiday spirit. There's a bunch of different presents and towns, and as you climb higher and higher up the mountain, they even brought back the half pipes, which is really cool. Then there's that huge jump you can go down the snow. Like I said, the remix is great, and there's even some snow and some Christmas trains with sleighs. It's a really cool track, and it's easy to see why people remember it so much from tour. At number 4, we have 3DS Rock Mountain. Now, this one seems to be one of the more controversial. People don't really like how the track looks, and while I admit it's definitely not the best looking one of the wave, I love Rock Mountain. The music is fantastic, going uphill at the end with all the falling boulders, as well as that huge gliding section. It's a really cool track, and, well, it's honestly hard to say it's much of an improvement, since I personally think the gliding in Mario Kart 7 allowed more freedom than it does in 8, which fit the track really well there. This is still a really cool track, even with this slight downside. It's really great, and being one of my favorites from Mario Kart 7, I'm really happy to have it back. At number 3, we have DS Peach Gardens. This was a bit of a surprise, but man, there is some great stuff in here. While you can't really go around that full circle at the beginning, I mean, it doesn't really matter too much. I think that's just nitpicking on my end. There's a bunch of cool hedge statues of the Mario characters, like Luigi, Peach, and Mario. There's a cool glider section. The remix is just beautiful, and overall, it's a great visual improvement. But what really surprised me was on the final lap, when you're just driving like normal, but then you drive left instead of taking a right, where you'd go uphill. And here you go into a completely new section. You go back onto the castle part, and you drive on the track backwards. And this is where we get to the glider. You can even fly into Luigi's hand and high five. It's a really cool track, and as much as I loved it in the original, this one is even better. I love Peach Gardens, and Nintendo really did it well here. At number 2, we have 3DS Rainbow Road. This is a very beloved track, and I gotta say, it's easy to see why. There's a lot to love about it. You drive through a huge tunnel at the end, there's some rockets, some rolling chomps on a moon, you get to drive on Saturn's rings, and all that stuff stays here in Mario Kart 8, even some asteroids you go out into at the end. But now the remix is even cooler. And honestly, I still think the original version of the music is great, but this one is distinct as well, and it has more rock in it. And also, we have anti-gravity in the moon section, which is cool. But another thing I really like about the course is the road. It looks so watery and definitely unique, and I think that's great for a Rainbow Road. It reminds me of Mario 3D World. Another thing to say about the track is that we get to see some planets like Jupiter there, or Saturn, and it's cool how they have more detail now. This track was fantastic in the original, but now it's just as great, maybe even better. And number one is, of course, Wee Maple Treeway. Now, there were some really fantastic tracks in this wave, and it was hard to rank them, but this one is at the top. There's so much to love about this one. You have the super cool cannon into the tree at the beginning, a really awesome remix, a bunch of wigglers. They added back the half pipes in an interesting way with the anti-gravity, which surprised me, but I like. Now, you don't have that bridge at the end with the net anymore, but that was removed in Mario Kart 7, so what can you say? Another thing that is interesting is that in the bridge, the little section in the tree right before the end, is they added kind of a guardrails, but you can still fall through, which is interesting. Is it improvement? I think so. The original and the 7 version were fantastic, but this one is just gorgeous, and it adds some nice quality of life improvements. It's overall a really fantastic track, and I could really say that about the wave as a whole. I could only wonder where Wave 4 could bring us, and now that we're halfway through, I'm glad that Nintendo decided to do this, but I'd still like another Mario Kart someday. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.